Hello, you comic book nerds. It's Blasted or Stash It, episode 203. God, man, I just can't wait for this year to be over. Where'd you get that, Mike? I didn't get one of those.
This was free from my comic book shop.
Nice.
This week?
A couple weeks ago. I don't know.
I didn't get one of those. I gotta go pick me up one of those. I have a Harley Quinn and I have a Batgirl, but I don't have one of those. Gotta get one of those. So this is Blasted or Stash It. First time catching shows. What we do, we buy comic books that come out on Comic Book Wednesday. We read them. We blast the books we hate. We stash the books we like. And as we go through them, we got Pocan Joe's by Grandpa and myself. He was comics. Be forewarned, though, we do have some spoilers. Where's my little thingamahooter? Thingamahooter. Some viewers may find this video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised, too. Joe's opening windows. He wants to have a stalker.
Oh, let's see me. It's another view.
It's another view. With the camera out there taking pictures of you. Okay, let's jump into the. Well, that's first. Let's talk about maybe what else we've been watching or doing this week, Mike. Since you were gone last week, well, yeah, I know you've been pretty busy personally, but have you been watching any movies or anything like that?
Yeah. I've had my daughter and the boyfriend and the two grandkids staying with us for the past. Well, they left yesterday. But they had some plumbing issues and had to come stay with us. So that's why you didn't see a haul video on my end. As far as watching, I did buy this, the complete Resident Evil collection. So, yeah, these movies are cheesy, but they're fun. You got hot girls in it with guns. The last couple I've never actually seen, but I've been watching this, so I'm on like the fourth movie. Been working, and that's about. Haven't seen Joey in like 2 weeks.
I've missed you, buddy.
Yeah, we'll hug later. Hug it out.
Here, give me 1 second. I'll leave you guys.
Now Mikey, the show's gonna get good.
Mikey, I've missed my cuddles.
What about you, Joe? What have you been doing besides strapping Captain America to a lathe and threatening his life?
That was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I've been pondering different things to do over on the show lately because I really enjoy working with metal and things like that, and I kind of want to incorporate that in the comic book theme. So I've been kind of focusing my attentions to some things I could add to my own show, maybe even do some cool stuff. Yeah, I really want to make a batarang that comes back at you because the fact that a flying knife comes back at you is kind of awesome. So I've been kind of working that out. We'll talk more about that later. I've been watching The Boys. I'm all caught up on The Boys, and
I didn't watch that today.
Yeah, I missed today's because I had drama at the American Legion. So don't spoil that. We spoil things for people. You don't spoil things to us. Let's see what else I've been doing. Of course, I've been reading loads of comic books, doing reviews on them, and then work's been a little bogged down lately. You know, if you're a small business owner and you're doing, and especially if you're a small business comic book owner, I'm sure you've been affected, and I'm sure you've heard about the PPP and the idle loans that the SBA. So that's what I do for a living. So I've been managing a lot of that kind of stuff lately, and that's just been, it's been a lot. So, you know, if you are in the comic book industry, a comic book store or something like that, and you filed for one of those things, just understand that program got rolled out really quick, really fast, and there may not have been enough. I cover all of Virginia by myself, just me, the guy that drinks beer and talks about comic books. So just be patient. It's about the best thing I can tell you. Wife's been quarantined, so yeah, because she worked with somebody that had coronas, and we just moved into a new house, so I've been working on a workshop, collectibles room, and household duty stuff that I just don't like.
For me, I've kind of changed focus a little bit since the fire and stuff like that. So I've been doing a lot more prepping, trying to become a lot more self-sustainable, getting those skills down. Got my hunting license and tags. Are going to be go out hunting here next month.
How many bear can you get?
I'm not getting a bear tag. My buddy did get a bear tag. We each got a buck tag, deer tag.
Usually in Virginia, and not to change the focus of the show, but in Virginia, when you go get one hunting license, there's like a number of bucks, a number of does, a number of turkey, and a number of bear.
We have to pay here in Oregon. We have to pay them each separately. You have to buy them. So you buy your buck tag, and then you buy your bear tag. Bear tag is only $17.
What? Do veterans going to do that? Because I was going to come out there and hunt.
We've only got one bear tag. It's mainly as an insurance case. We're out there skinning a deer or something, and a bear comes out. We shoot and kill the bear. We don't get fined. You know, I have no desire to go bear hunting. Really, I don't think it would be even for me.
Oh, bear's delicious. Eat bear.
So I haven't been watching very much. I'm behind on the boys. My daughter's finally starting to get into Halloween and stuff a little more. She wants to watch Halloween movies. Although now Mike and I were talking prior to the show about CDC's guidelines of Halloween. That's just nuts. And but we watched the new Addams Family movie, the animated one. Don't watch it. It is horrible. It is absolutely horrible. But we were planning on watching the other Addams Family movie, the ones that came out in the 90s with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston. Those are pretty good. But we got some people in the chat. We got some people in the chat for a while. Captain says, wait a minute. The beard's changed faces. So he hasn't been here for a while. I think you didn't have a beard, Joe, and I did.
Yeah.
So now
I took his and put it on my face.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's what happens when you make out too much.
So he says, long time no see, fam. It's been a while since we've seen him in here. Jack goes in here, gives us the thumbs up. I can never pronounce this. Tapia's Family Unlimited Comics says, yo, what up, folks? He says, nice hair. Huey, nice hair, brah. Of course, now they're making fun of my hair. They give you a commercial for Suave. He says,
it sounds like a compliment. That doesn't sound like an insult. Why would you go out of it?
I guess, if you're in your mid-40s and you got a full head of hair, it's always a good thing.
Do you need to have a session? Do you need to lay down on the couch and talk to old Pocan Joe?
Yeah. So let's jump into the comic books. Again, to anybody who's watching live, if you read these books, let us know what you thought. Did you blast Eustache? Are we wrong? Let us know. And if you're listening to this in the rewind, comment down below. Say, hey, no, this is what I picked up. This is what I liked. So we can all communicate now. That's fun stuff together. So why don't we start with Mike's busy looking at his porn. Start with you, Joe. You got to take your glasses off and looking at porn.
I think all of you read this because it seems like something all of you would read. Let's go ahead and talk about Juggernaut #1 that came out. Boo. Of course, I had to go with this Scotty Young variant because my wife collects Scotty Youngs and I don't cover buy anymore. So I gave up the high-end ones for my wife. That's the sacrifices I make. So this is not a new story, right? So basically we have Juggernaut, right? And he's already done the villain to hero's arc. If you don't know what the hero's arc is, basically it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? The recipe's in the title. It's an arc that somebody goes through. So we get it. He's been a villain, then he goes through a hero's arc thing, and now he's doing the thing that you typically see in Westerns where he's like he wants to be done with the exciting life, right? He just wants a mundane job. It's very Western feeling to me. Um, and he kind of wants to take on the role of a mentor because he sees a troubled youth, and he's like, hey, you have power. So we meet D-Cell, a new character, and her powers are she can slow down kinetic energy. I love the fact that we throw the random word of kinetic energy in there. Connect. You know what? I just had an idea for my show.
Oh,
We're not going to define kinetic energy. We're going to leave that one alone. But she can slow things down. We'll just say that. And he's like, okay, look, you're squatting in this area. I'm a demolition man now. Like he's got a mundane job where he just runs through buildings and drops them. We're going to fight real quick because that's what heroes do when they first meet each other. They fight. And then, takes her to a hospital because he maybe took it a little too far without realizing it because old habits, right? Meets her in the hospital, kind of tries to deal with her. And of course, she's young, she's new. He's a, I don't want to say boomer because he wouldn't be a boomer in this case. He would be a Gen Xer, but for some reason, Gen X is always forgotten about. So everything's a boomer. So whatever the case may be. So she tells them how they use YouTube or their version of YouTube. And they're trying to figure out some sort of way to define their relationship. I like this kind of storytelling because there's a place for both the old reader and there's a place for the new reader at the same time. And these two very opposite people, like even in race, they're different. Everything about them is different. The only combining thing that they have is the fact that they both have powers. She makes it very clear that she is not a mutant. And she even says in the story, she's like, it was an accidental science experiment origin story. Like it even got a little meta in that case. And I thought that was really great because we don't need, in our first meeting of a character, we don't need a long-winded experiment thing explained in it. We just need to know what these two people's relationships are and how is this going to move forward. I like that. It's smart writing. At least right now it is. Right now it is smart writing. Yeah, it makes fun of people. I saw the sign. I'll get to it in a second. I'm almost done. I saw the sign, but this is just fun storytelling, and I don't think instead of like picking a side here, I think it's a great opportunity to be able to see two characters come together and figure something out. If we don't do that, how would something like the X-Men ever exist? So this is interesting. I'm going to follow this through. It's a stash for me. Just a stash.
What about you, Mike? You were trying to say something there.
Oh, Juggernaut now works for damage control. So that's what he's demolishing buildings, and he comes across that kid Joey was talking about. I really wanted to hate this, but it's good. I'm stashing it. I'm looking forward to the relationship between this non-mutant and Juggernaut. And next issue, I guess he's going to be taking on the Incredible Hulk, or the Immortal Hulk. So that's going to be awesome. So I'm stashing it. I'm very surprised. Good book. So.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I was, we've had so many of these one shots of different, Storm and all those other ones that weren't great. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. We're going to have another one of these books. But I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. The parties work for Damage Control now, and they're just tearing out old buildings. That's great. I love that connection. Because Damage Control, I don't think, I have all those. I think there are 2 series of those Damage Control books. I have both those series, and I love that. That's just like the normal. Like these are the guys that have to deal with all the stuff that the superheroes mess up. The insurance agents, all the other stuff that has to deal with that. We don't see that ever in a comic book. But I thought he was being sarcastic at first when he was like, "Oh no, a force field." I thought when he was doing that, I thought he was being sarcastic. I didn't realize he was actually slowing everything down about Juggernaut, including his speech. I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do too. Jackio says Ron Garney art is really good. I like the art in here too. She definitely has some character. She has that shirt D-Cell does about the read between lines. She has the three fingers up, like an FU, that kind of shirt. So overall, I thought this was great. I'll definitely be picking up issue 2 of this because I want to see Juggernaut fight the Hulk. I don't think it's the first time Juggernaut's fought the Hulk, but
not even close.
Maybe a different version of Juggernaut, is more of the, leaning on that hero side, or at least more the middle, not necessarily the villain side, and how that's going to go out to fighting Hulk. So definitely, it is a stash for me too. Yes, we're all in agreement. A Juggernaut was a good read. Bookend Joe, you said, dude, I'm 43 Gen X and proud of it. Oops, 44. You even know how old you are, Joe?
No, time is a relative thing. Do you want me to explain time real quick? Hold on, let me break out the whiteboard. So time.
We could talk about time. We could talk about. Joe talked about it, I think, quite a bit in your video earlier, and that is death metal, speed metal.
Let's talk about that.
So I'll just do a brief overview of it. So at the last death metal, so all the Flashes are trying to outrun Joker Who Laughs, or now his new body he's taken on. I forgot what he's called now. But he's trying to outrun them, and Joker, Batman Who Laughs, keeps catching up with him, and they're just like, we're not going to make it, we're not going to do it, and then I forgot if it's Wally or whichever one kind of stops time and says, hey, actually, we need to go back against them in order to beat this whole horde that's chasing him out and go to the Morbius chair to get it away from him. And so that's what they end up doing. They find out, essentially learn to trust one another. That's the whole thing, because they're arguing about what's the right decision. And so they end up learning to trust one another in order to save the day. Overall, I mean, I thought it was an interesting book. I'm not a huge Flash fan, and so Mike's giving it a thumbs down. That's his review right there. So, I mean, it's okay. It's probably not one I'd ever read again. Now, do you need to read this whole thing for $6 to know that they got the Mobius chair to a safe place away from the Batman Who Laughs? No, you don't need a $6 book to tell you that. You could have summed it up in one page in Dark Knight's Metal on the main story.
You're right. So, you could have.
For me, it's a blast just because of that. We didn't need to spend $6 on it. It could have been a 50-cent page in the $10 book on death metal. So, what about you, Mike? What'd you think of it?
I'm blasting it. There was no Pantera in this book. There was no Slayer in this book. No metal at all. It's a blast.
What about you, Joe? You have a whole time paradox thing to talk about, don't you?
So I'm going to brief this out as quick as I can. Some interesting things did take place in the book, theoretically speaking. I like the whole concept of, hey, this guy's given all the orders, and we're moving forward. And sometimes when you're faced with a problem, and I'm a victim of this, right? Mike will tell you, I don't like a lot of side distractions when I'm trying to move forward. So sometimes my wife has to remind me, hey, you need to stop and think and take a broader picture of this. And then generally what I find out is I need to go back to the beginning. That was great in the story, because that's if you're finding yourself constantly going against the flow, you need to stop and think. And then that was very much expressed in this. And I kind of explained it in my own story, but the actual speed formula, when he yells it out and it stops everything, never been used in continuity in that sort of sense before, but it did fit into the story. And I broke that out. I actually did the speed formula, and I broke it out. This was the exact thing that I did for the concept for my own video. And it's an algebraic problem that actually describes speed. I'm not going to get into all that. That part I liked. It was just a a reminder that sometimes you're going to push against things and you just need to stop everything and start over again. And that's all they did in the story. But as
Kind of
far as
like
the story
sex.
goes, I'm sorry?
Just like sex.
Yeah, right? Like, you know what? That's actually a perfect example, right? You're on a drunken night, you pick up a girl, right? You banged her out, but let's be honest, you got a little whiskey dick going on, right? So, what's the first thing you do in the morning? You take a nap, you wake
You
up in
put
the
a
morning,
brony shirt on.
don't look at her, do it again.
I thought you were going to reference it somehow to the Flash in the sack. You'd be in and out done quick,
Yeah,
but I guess you didn't go there. So
well, whiskey dick, let's be honest, you're drunk at that point. You're passing out in 2 minutes. No, man, time is relative. But all in all, I thought it was a good message. Was the message delivered correctly? No, because it was all about, hey, Wally West is a character in DC lore, by the way, and nobody gives him enough respect because he missed all this stuff. And they gave him back everything that he lost in like 2 panels. And I'm like, and it was like everything was great. And I was like, there's no awkwardness, there's no problem. Remember Crisis, the last Crisis we had in DC, where the yellow mask thing was going on, and it was like he did everything because he lost everything, and then just kind of negated all that. And I was like, that's really cheap, right? That part was cheap writing. Loved the metaphor, hated the story, and the story is what we review here, so it's a blast for me.
So if you want to see that whole formula that Joe wrote out, he'll be more than happy to post it on our Facebook page. So that's a little segue, and make sure you go check us out on Facebook and Twitter.
Already
and
there.
It's already there. You have it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so go check us out on Facebook. Go check Joe's math on that. Make sure you get that Speed Force math down.
Hey, make sure it's an algebraic problem. It is not a speed thing. I explained that in 3 minutes.
Real quick before we jump into the next book, Caffeinated Wolf said he needs more Wally West in his life, but he also adds on a little bit later, not in the current continuity, however, on Mark Waid's original run before he was trash. I tell me Mark Waid was trash.
Yeah,
with the Wally West, they utilize it just like that. Then Double S said because of death metal, speed metal, and the Flash is messing with time, Joe is now a 44-year-old millennial. So. And Mike says math sucks. It does. I mean, all that math I took in high school and college, I don't use that hardly at all anymore. So.
You need to start using it. Math is the ultimate answer. Look, if somebody disagrees with you and you can prove it mathematically, you're not going to disagree. If the person explains it, you're not going to disagree with them because you hate math.
Well,
so
I know that 2 + 2 = 4, right?
Now prove it.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, we're going on to you. What do you want to talk about next, Mike?
What do I want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Well, comic book wise, I know you don't like.
Oh, okay.
Mike's got Joe's got reflection, and you got to be careful what you're whipping out there, Joe.
Just kicking the dog out of the office.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Fuck it, why not? Let's talk about X of Swords or 10 of Swords.
Oh, thank God you started on that because I would be lost.
Number one, so I have not been reading any of the X-Men, X-Force, X-Factor, X Go Fuck Yourself books. Just because it wasn't it. I started to when the Dawn of X and whatever the fuck it was called. When that all started, yeah, it was pretty good. And then there were so many X books, I just stopped. I was hesitant about buying this one. It's a 22-part series running through all the X titles. This one opens with I had to go watch other videos to actually know what was going on in this book. I guess because I haven't been reading the X books, but it's about the first horseman, Apocalypse's first horseman, marching on something called the Starlight Citadel. And at that point, I was totally lost. The first few pages, I tried to power through it. I watched some more videos on what this was all about. Apparently, there's a character named the Summoner, who is Apocalypse's grandson. Is it
Grandson, yeah.
Um, and he ends up betraying Apocalypse at some point in this book. So, for me, a person who hasn't been reading the X books, this is a blast. I watched all these videos, and it seems like an interesting story for someone who's been reading this. But I'm gonna blast it. So I don't know where the swords come into play. I think I lost something there. I don't know. So I'm not gonna buy any of the other ones. I'm gonna wait till all this blows over and maybe try to pick it back up, pick the X-Men back up.
But Mike, this is part 1 of 22.
Yeah, well,
but I think Wolverine ties into this as well as the other, so that's like part 3 or part 4 or whatever. So it's not like this is
like
it's swords.
Run through all the X books.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, this book here, I guess mainly what it's telling me is don't trust pale naked men in the middle of the woods who want to play games with you. You know,
pale naked men in purple gyms.
In purple, I wasn't pale and I wasn't naked in the gym.
Not you.
So yeah, I mean, we first meet this guy. He's like seemed like this very just like innocent guy, wants to play a game. We find out he has other motives, but we do meet I think it's the 4 original Apocalypse, 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Yeah. So I was super tired when I read this book, so a lot of this did not sink in. For me, Hickman is a writer that you got to read a couple times, I think. At least for me.
And everything. You got to read all the side stuff, and yeah.
So it would take a second read for me to really, truly understand what's going on, and a good cup of coffee in me, too, to be wide awake, to make sure I'm letting this sink in and catch a little bit more. I brought this to work with me today. I planned to read it again on my lunch break, but unfortunately, I left it in my car and I didn't get a chance to. So I was super tired when I read this. A lot of it went way over my head. But I might give another week, because I did like House of X and Powers of 10 or Powers of X, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to blast this just yet, because I do like Apocalypse. I like that character of Apocalypse, and I want to get another read just because. So it is a soft stash. It's a whiskey dick issue for me. What about you, Joe?
All right, so yeah, a lot of catching up in this if you jumped off of X-Men, like Mike said. Mike was absolutely right on this one. I jumped off after Powers of X and House of X. I read like the next few issues of the mainline story, got into some of the top, and everything just got stupid and weird, and I didn't want to deal with it. So I jumped out, right? This has always been a major contention of me and Drew Manchu. Right, I jumped off and I was like, nah, this is getting stupid. And then I read this, so I'm jumping into it, and immediately I have to do a little research to find out who these characters are and get caught up a little bit, because I don't want that to be part of my review. Right, that's my fault for not reading them. So I kind of get this in between place, the 2 islands. So you got Krakoa, you got the other island, and you kind of got this in between place. That's where the story takes place. By the way, what do you all think about that? 1 per story issue that is nothing more than a black and white of the train dress.
Is it just a black and white of this one?
Yeah, it's just a black and white of it.
Oh, that's
the variant trade dress. Yeah. So basically, what we got in here is we got. Do y'all remember Contest of Champions?
Yeah.
Pretty much what we're doing in this, right? But we're adding swords. Why are we adding swords? Because swords are primitive, and we're dealing with a primitive sort of story here. 2 conflicting battles, right? Instead of making entire armies fight, it's easier just to make your champions fight, and you can end it. You saw this in the movie Troy, right? Where Achilles and the one guy, and he throws a spear at him, right? So we're kind of going old school with this, but we're big braining it. Do we need to big brain this story? Probably not, but whatever. We're going to go through it. I like swords and I like bladed weapons. I like that kind of stuff. I'm a huge tomahawk guy. Um, the former Army Ranger, love tomahawks. Like that's my thing, right? And a good bowie, right? That's I love this kind of stuff. Uh, so I'm probably going to be reading this more in the lines just to see if actual swords were used. Um, Apocalypse is being able to see his kids again and kind of simping out over that whole situation. And his kids have been battle hardened, right? So they're like, Dad, stand up. You're being weird. By the way, we're going to kill all your friends and pretty much going to take it over. This kind of remind me of an Alabama trailer park where even the grandkid carries a knife and stabs grandpa in the back. Like it was crazy. A lot happened in this book. We're dealing with mystical, we're dealing with ancient, and we're dealing with modern mutants. And how does this play out? This is going to be complicated storyline because you're dealing with very old stuff and old concepts, but we keep trying to do it with this rejuvenation. So we're kind of, I'm not sure how to describe this, but we're kind of doing, I hate to sound cheesy, but we're kind of doing with the everything goes back to being old, right? So you have the New Mutant Nation, but it's dealing with old world problems, old wars, old beliefs, the whole 9 yards. And we're throwing in these modern mutants. Like these aren't the X-Men that I grew up with, right? These are all newer mutants. A lot of these characters, I don't even know who they are. Like I kind of know who the younger Cable is. Magic, I vaguely remember her own storyline, and I saw her in the New Mutants film, and I didn't even like that. And of course, you got to throw Wolverine in there because that's what attracts people like me. But all in all, for the first issue, after I got caught up on who everybody else was, reread the story, I'm going to have to blast it because, again, you're just leaving way too much up to this random, pretty, witchy lady who just automatically declares tarot cards are going to decide everybody's future. Congratulations, Contest of Champions. And I'm like, why is anybody listening? At no point is anybody explain to me why aren't we just going to war? Why are we listening to this random person? That it was never explained to me. And in my research, I mean, I know she's all powerful and everything, but you have mutants that you could have wrote around that. And they didn't do that. They forced us to believe that this lady is some sort of ultimate deciding factor. Truth is, she's done nothing that any other Omega mutant could do that I could see. So why not let her little tower drop and just have a war? Why are we having a contest of champions? What is the purpose of this contest of champions? What does it ultimately prove? Not getting it. So, but I will pick up the main line. I'm not picking up every time. I may pick up a tie-in here and there, just kind of for clarity. I'm going to rely on my comic book shop for that information because I'm not putting in too much time to this. I think this is going to be another Hickman, way over your head. Have to read it, and I buy 10 to 20 comic books a week. I don't have time to reread everything Hickman does.
Yeah, and the Avengers recently did something like that with the Contest of Champions and that whole story arc too. So it's not anything new. If you compare
the words and weird reasons that don't make
Caffeine
sense.
Wolf says Hickman is overrated as sin. Double S Mike, my comment on the pale man in the woods who wanted to play games with me. He liked that comment. And Double S also says, I'm with you, Joe. I tried reading Hickman X-Men, but couldn't get into it. I would consider reading it again if Donny Cates took it over and simplified it.
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine if Donny Cates wrote this? Like, you would be so fascinated with the story that you wouldn't have to, like, and I'm sure we'll talk about the whole Venom thing, right? Yeah. We could pick that apart big brained, But the truth is, you're so fascinated by the story, doesn't matter. This leaves a lot of questions because you're oversmarting everybody.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I'm going to go into my next book. I'm not sure if anybody else read this week. I think it's by Boom Studios or is it Aftershock? So all I'm going to say, you sprinkle a little bit of 1996 Nev Campbell from the Craft, and then you add a little 2004 Lindsay Lohan from Mean Girls, and you get Unkindness of Ravens. Yes, Mike.
Why can't it be Nev Campbell from Scream?
Because Nev Campbell from The Craft is about witches, and that's what
because
this
you
book
didn't
is
read
about.
the story. That's why.
So this book is a combination of The Craft and Mean Girls, essentially. So we have this one girl, Wilma. She's a new student in a high school. The first day going in, she sees these missing posters all over the school, and she finds out she looks identical to the missing girl whose name is Waverly. And so all the other students are looking at her like, some are even talking in the background. That's a horrible costume. We can see right there. We can tell that's her right there. And she doesn't understand what's going on. She opens her locker. Here's a secret message inside the locker that only she can see. And then here come the popular girls. They want her to meet with her out in the quad after school to hang out. And then here come the witches. They say, hey, come out, meet us out by the old tree. And I don't know. It's a teenage drama. It's not really my thing. The art itself is too. It's kind of very Archie kind of stuff. Not necessarily totally cartoon like Archie, but that's kind of the feel I got from it. It's kind of like an Archie teen book for sure. And the typical witches. There's one with an eye patch. So there's always got to have one with an eye patch. That just proves that she's totally badass, right? Yeah. Her name is Vicky with an eye. Look how badass she looks. Carl. No, Carl.
Did you see the Walking Dead Deluxe stuff?
Walking Dead Deluxe?
They're
re-releasing them in color.
Re-releasing them in color.
So, Unkindness of Ravens, this was, I don't think I ordered, oh my God, my voice just cracked. I'm going to puberty at 44. This is not one book that I had on my pull list. I just grabbed it off the shelf. I thought, oh, okay, I'll pick it up. Kind of a cool name. I just started watching the TV show Longmire, and it was weird because Longmire in episode 1 they taught about unkindness. Well, what's a group of ravens called? They're all called an unkindness. I didn't even know that. And so then this book popped up on the shelf. So, but it's not for me. It's a blast. I will not be picking up issue 2 because I really don't care whether Waverly Wilma hangs out with the witches or the bitches. I don't care.
How long did it take you to come up with that one? You got that written down.
I would have.
The only thing I had written down was the Nev Campbell and the Mean Girls. The rest of it was all ad lib, Mike.
I live right off the spot. You're a natural.
I try to be. When I wear my brony shirt, I feel like I have a little more special powers.
Yeah, like you can tap into this story.
Yeah, you could tap into that ass.
Whatever. Joe, what do you think of Unkindness of Ravens?
Oh man, let me tell you, what a great story! Just absolutely great for every 12-year-old little girl that's just awkward and doesn't fit into a certain group and wants to be part of the group, and she thinks she can do it by playing victim. Yeah, I would. All right, so. I go into my comic book store and I'm like, all right. So I started doing an actual pull list with my comic book store, and I was extremely vague because of the way the scheduling works now, I don't have time to go to the comic book store twice a week. So I was extremely vague in my responses, and I purposely did that for the show. So I would get things like this, and I purposely picked up a one per store variant, right? And this is when you find out you jacked up. This is when you find out you messed up. So yeah, you're absolutely right. This is witches and Mean Girls kind of thrown together, just not as interesting. And I didn't even like those two films. This is not a comic book. I'll preface everything with this is not a comic book. This is a script for a TV show that will probably last a season or two.
That's on it. WB. I see it on the WB.
Yeah, WB, CW, and to be quite frank, or probably maybe even Netflix. One of those will pick something similar to this up, if not this. This is
Is
not a
WB
comic
even a
book.
thing anymore?
I'm sorry?
Is WB even a thing anymore?
I don't think so. I think it's CW now.
Okay, whatever
Whatever
acronym.
they do the legends on, because they got a lot of weird shit like this on there. So yeah, you're absolutely right with the prophecy. Kid, new school, new town. Dad's pretty much freaking worthless because he got into a car accident, has to pop a bunch of pills. Mom died in the accident, so we got a troubled teen. And she's in a new school, which isn't unique to her. Apparently, they move around a lot because dad's popping pills on a regular basis. She's still a suburbanite Karen, but whatever. Nerdy kid kind of hangs out with her because, he's trying to teach her the ropes. Maybe he likes her. Either way, he's a simp. No way a male. Actually, none of the males in here were males. They're all
Bronies.
following orders from females, even the dad, which strikes me as weird. The witches are super cool in their own right because they're witches, but they're the kids from the other side of the tracks, the poor kids. But they have magical powers. And then the rich, snobby kids, of course, she's a bitch, and the football and all the cool kids hang out over there. Look, I think this is stupid writing, and I think it's playing very stupid stereotypes that are dangerous today. And here's why I think they're dangerous. I think it's dangerous because you're putting out a preface that there's these two groups of people because of their backgrounds or economic status or whatever that immediately they can't get along, right? So you're playing off of stupid stereotypes that don't exist anymore or shouldn't exist, and you're just being ignorant. I think this is an ignorant written book, and I think this is from an ignorant writer, and I think this is somebody that has a lot more other issues than just what's being presented in the book. This is adults should not be writing this. This is emo kid poetry at its best, and let's be honest, nobody reads emo kid poetry.
Do you think somebody has a fetish for a woman with an eye patch?
I think somebody has a fetish for the nobody liked me in high school because I was super misunderstood, and it's Kool-Aid dyed hair bullshit.
I wonder if that girl dated Andrew Dice Clay. That's what I got to know.
If Andrew,
nobody knows who Andrew Dice Clay is.
Oh,
don't you Andrew Dice Clay, Mike? Is that what you said?
Nobody knows who that is.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I guess we just dated ourselves, or dated myself. Yeah. Okay, Mike, why don't you give us the next book?
On top of the stack here is The Immortal She-Hulk.
Wow, we went from the fire into the frying pan. All right.
Thank God this is just a one-shot. I love She-Hulk.
It's not a one-shot.
I thought it was a one-shot.
No.
Well, I'm blasting it even more now. Then. So we get a little bit of a little She-Hulk origin in the beginning. Then we go to She-Hulk versus a villain that nobody, let alone cares about, but even heard of, called Tantrum. I don't know who the fuck he is.
His first appearance, it's worth $3.
Actually, it's going to drop, and it's going to be worth this will be in the dollar bin in about a week. All out of nowhere, I guess Wolverine was done playing with his 10 swords or whatever the fuck's going on over there, and he comes out of nowhere and takes out Tantrum or stabs him through the chest or whatever. He's not dead though because reasons. And for whatever reason, they just decide they're going to go have a beer. They talk about death and how to come back from it and how to cope with it. There's some leader stuff in here, but not enough to
fucking care about.
Matter. I thought this was a one shot. Joey said it's not. Either way, I'm blasting this. Um, if it isn't a one shot, I'll give number 2 a chance. But
Really?
Okay, so it says here, it says you've missed She-Hulk's third death. Check out Empire. Now, I never read the Empire. I didn't know she had died in Empire.
You died.
I knew that she had died in Civil War II.
I reviewed that, by the way, on our channel. Apparently, you don't pay attention.
Well, I don't remember that. Double S real quick says going through puberty at 44, another effect of the Flash measuring with the death metal speed metal. He says, I regretted getting Immortal She-Hulk. That is all I have to say about that blast. The only thing I did like about this book, I like how it did connect with what's going on with the Immortal Hulk with the Green Door. I did like to have a little bit of that in there.
You liked, hold on, let me make sure I understand this. You liked the fact that this random story popped out of nowhere and it immediately connected to a standing story that is very deep in its own lore right now. You liked that.
What I'm saying is I like how it's not just by itself. It does connect with the bigger Marvel universe. That's what I'm getting at.
But you like
No, I didn't like the book.
It sounds like you liked it.
No, what I'm saying is I like these little parts of the book. God dang, man. Let me finish what I'm talking about. I do like how it connected with the bigger Marvel universe. I did like how they had the Green Door in there. I did like to have Bruce Banner's dad in there in part of that hell. I do like talk about the 3 deaths of She-Hulk, as well as the connection with Donny Cates' Thor and how he became the Galactus of Herald of Galactus. That's what I'm trying to get out. Yeah. But he ended up killing Galactus too. So I like how that's the only part to me that was okay, cool. It's not forgetting the rest of the Marvel universe. It still has that connection in there. Am I going to be picking up issue 2? No, I'm not picking up issue 2. I did not like it like that. I like it like that. I did like the who was that?
Alex Ross.
Alex Ross. Timeless. Yeah. But that's about the only thing I did like about it. That was it. Other than that, it's a blast. What about you, Joe? It seems like you got some negative things to say about it.
Oh, this is so bad. Oh, this is so bad. This is proof that certain people should not write comic books. There's just some people that are so reliant on current storylines that they wouldn't succeed no other way. The writer of this story has never started an issue 1 that is not tied into something else. The writer in this relies his storytelling based off of successful things. The story writer of this needs to go someplace else. Like, this person needs to stop writing. Basically, and if you watch sitcom shows, like family sitcom shows, you always see the same trend. Eventually, at some point, they do a flashback episode. Don't care if it's the 80s, 90s, 2000s, doesn't matter. They all do a flashback episode. What they don't rely on, good writers, is they don't rely their entire preface for their story to be a flashback episode. This writer did. This is, and again, I don't know this person, and it's nothing personal against the person. This is just poor pissant writing, and it's lazy at best. They took a storyline that has been successful, and I'll be honest with you, it's been successful up to this whole leader thing. I'm not on board with this whole leader thing. I think it's a cheap villain you can stuff in really quick to make other things happen. And I actually said that on this show. They stuck the leader into this show so they could do some tie-ins and some sprouting from it. That's the only reason why you add a D-list character like this in this type of story. And here we are. You'll at least get 2 more. I promise you that. You're going to get a Samson #1 issue where he's got to deal with it on his own. That's a guarantee. I tell you what, if I am wrong, I will chop up an American flag hat that I always wear, and I will eat it on this show. You're gonna get a Samson. And
Write
then
that down, Dave.
Write it down. Writing it down.
write it down. I promise you, I'm not wrong.
Eat his hat. Okay.
This is garbage writing. There is nothing original about this story. Hey, I died 3 times. They're based off of these stories. Hey, by the way, the leader's doing things over here, which we already knew about. We already knew Bruce Banner's dad was in there. The story pretty much, you're just filling in dialogue at this point. This is bad. This is bad writing. It's bad preface it. And the entire cursive to the beginning of the story being, and possibly a better Hulk. I was like, are you though? Are you like Immortal Hulk's been pretty solid, sales wise, review wise, just absolute. I haven't read any, or I'm sorry, I haven't seen anybody on YouTube talk shit about the first 20 issues of Immortal Hulk. Everybody's liked it, or comic book readers for the most part. There may have been some people I missed. But I'll be honest with you, nobody's saying this horrible stuff. And then she comes along and says, hey, because I died 3 times. And it kind of pissed me off that they shoved Wolverine in there. This is another gimmick. Not just the story. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I'm writing a comic book.
What's it about?
Good job.
It doesn't matter what it's about or who's drawing it. I'm just going to put Wolverine in every issue.
Exactly. I was going to go there. Hey, we'll just throw Wolverine in here, and we're going to make Wolverine into a sympathizing mentor. So what does Wolverine does? This is the only thing that was smart in it. Wolverine's like, don't think about it. Like, just drink a beer and get over it. And they actually kind of hinted in here. I don't know if it was by accident. Like Wolverine's kind of hinting around to this happens to everybody, but we're supposed to believe that it's different for She-Hulk, but it's not different for She-Hulk because the Immortal Hulk goes through it. Oh, you ready? There's your rare variant. It's a garbage story. It's a garbage story, and it's a garbage book.
But it is from the same writer as Immortal Hulk. It's Al Ewing.
Yeah, it's cheating. It's cheating. He's cheating. It's cheating.
Okay, we got one more time for one more book we should probably talk about, and it's kind of a couple big reveals in this book this week, and that's Venom number 28. Do you guys both read Venom 28?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we get the 2 reveals.
Spoiler.
And of course, yeah, spoiler.
Super spoilers.
Spoilers. So we kind of knew that these new characters were coming in. At least it was my assumption that they were not completely new. They were an old character brought back in, to take this place. So we find out the identity of Virus, and we find out the identity of Codex.
And Annie's team.
And what?
Annie's team.
Oh, yeah. So we find out that Virus is Scorpion. Now he's a Venom Scorpion going out to. It almost looked kind of like the monster from. What was the name of that movie? Mike would know it. It's a movie about the guy who was a scarecrow and he drives a big bus.
Creepers.
No.
Jeepers Creepers. Yeah, he kind of looks like Jeepers Creepers, don't you think? When he's popped out there as the.
Yeah.
Oh, he's popped out.
He's popped out, all right. Look at that, man. Popped on out. So and we also find out that Codex is Dylan from that universe. So that's
always me. I thought before they were going to do some Null spinoff, but that surprised me.
I have one panel I absolutely love, and it's mainly because of how Wolverine's drawn. It kind of reminds me a lot of Sam Keith's Wolverine a little bit. That panel there, right there, you see Wolverine crouched down like that, getting ready to pounce. I absolutely love that drawing of Wolverine. I think that's badass.
Wolverine's in another book?
Wolverine's in another book. But we do find out that Annie's team is Peter Parker, Cletus Cassidy, Deadpool, and I don't know who the other woman is here. Andy Benton? Who's that?
Andy Benton. She's a minor character in X-Men.
Oh, is she? She's not like Honey Bear from Deadpool 2, some random dude that came in here and saw the article, saw the...
I was kind of hoping they'd throw in that Negasonic Teenage Warhead thing, but it wasn't her. I was hoping that was it, because that would have been awesome.
But overall, this is still a good book. It's still, even though it's a character that's already been established, it's a really good twist to it. I really like that twist and how that's going to affect Brock and his wife now from this other dimension. We also find out too that Brock has in that dimension committed suicide, and so that's why Annie, his wife, is all kind of distraught because all of a sudden here Brock is back, and she's trying to get that figured out as well. So overall, great twist, even though it is a character we already know and is established in the Marvel universe. But overall, great book. Kate's is still killing it. I'm still picking up the Venom. Mike, what about you? Venom for number 28.
Yeah, Venom was fucking awesome. Let's see if there's anything you missed. Dr. Octopus is Codex's a scientist assistant, so that was pretty cool. I like when they find out Cletus Cassidy or Carnage is one of the agents. Dylan's like, didn't I just fucking kill him? So that was cool. Scorpion is Virus. I like Scorpion. I'm not sure how I feel about him being venomized. Eddie Brock Venom did take his leg, so he has some motives for going after him. Well, I'm sure next issue we'll get the whole Dylan becoming Codex, that story, how everything led up to this point. So pretty excited for that. So yeah, this is my co-pick of the week. Another great Venom issue. So
I think Dylan's just going to find out it's this time of the month to become Codex. That's all.
And he's going to get a spin-off series that's going to feature Wolverine.
I think
it's called Panty Liners.
What?
I would have
been panty liners on right now.
Whatever.
Thing ever.
Joe, what do you think of Venom 28?
Don't change the subject. You need to explain yourself.
No. My brony shirt's getting, pumping.
Loved this. I thought this was awesome. So, I don't know what it is about Cates. Cates knows how to take heavy emotional stuff, right? So you're dealing with things like suicide, right? And nobody likes to joke about suicide or anything like that. You really shouldn't. And in this, we deal with suicide on two levels, right? The one where the decision wasn't made, and then one where the decision was made and the repercussions of it, which ultimately the Venom affects Annie. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a cool take. That's why I kind of like every now and then when we kind of dive into these different dimensions. Scorpion being venomized, I would have liked a little bit more explanation about that. I'm not hung up on it though. Really cool. We knew it was somebody that knew Venom. Like we knew this already going into it. I don't think anybody expected Venom because there was no hints towards it. It was pretty plain Jane. So maybe we should kind of predicted a plain Jane character like Scorpion. All right, cool. I really like the whole play in dimensions where it's characters like that whole team reveal thing was great. You got Deadpool in there, still being Deadpool. You got Carnage. Right, let's just call him Carnage. You got Carnage in there, but you don't see Carnage as we know him. We see him as a remorseful, regretful human. You see Peter Parker in there with a pedophile mustache. That
With his
was
corn stash. Oh, the power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ
what
compels
is
you.
going on in your house? Feels like more like a disco rave over there.
You know it.
And then you get this Annie Batten character, and the Annie Batten character is just there for people that are in current reading. Um, I liked this. It is my co-stash of the week. I really enjoyed this, and damn, I really wish Cates would write She-Hulk. I think he would do a good
Not
job.
have Wolverine in it.
It had Wolverine in it, but like he didn't. He was just in it. Like he was just there for back. He was there for background art, and I thought that was smart. I really liked it when we go to these other dimensions and we see these characters in the background, zombified, venomized, whatever the case may be,
Feminized?
venomized,
See,
zombies, whatever the case may be.
Atomized?
I like seeing that there. It's also
sodomized.
seeing a half insane Reed Richards made me kind of happy too.
Doc Brown, Reed Richards?
Yes, that was awesome.
Okay, we're an hour in. It's time to go to lightning round with our books.
What, are we in a hurry?
We're an hour
Yeah,
in.
Daddy needs to go to bed.
Mike is right at that crux of that examination table, so he gets to go first.
Hell yeah. All right.
Spread him, Mike. Spread him.
Hell yeah. Here we go. What the fuck was it? Oh, my other pick of the week is actually Maestro number 2. I like this a lot. Feels like Old Man Logan, Old Man Hawkeye, that kind of dystopia. Hulk traveling through the world. Great stuff in this. This is a definite stash. Flash number 762. Flash versus Reverse Flash. They fight to a standstill. At the end, Flash decides to try something new. He decides to actually forgive Reverse Flash for what he's done because he feels his hate for him keeps him tethered to it, and it's an ongoing loop. This is the end of this creative team. So I don't know where this book is going forward, what it's going to do, but this has been good for the past, 10 issues I've been picking up. Suicide Squad number 9. This is ending soon. This is great, still great. Deadshot actually gets shot and thrown out of a building along with Ted Cord. So that's good. And my last book I read, and I thank Drew Manchu, wherever he's at this evening, for turning me onto this book, Skull Digger and Skeleton Boy from the world of Black Hammer. This book is so good. It's like a darker version of Batman and Robin. Pick this up. Go back and find the past 3 issues. Skull Digger actually gets shot in this, and will Skull Boy pick up the mantle? I don't know.
Do they play each other's bones, or
what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I know.
Does your wife know you talk like this?
Oh yeah.
He touched bones.
Touch bones, yeah.
Touch tips.
Do a little docking.
Just the tips.
Go pick up Skull Digger.
What about you, Joe? What about your lightning round?
Action Comics Superman family is getting tired of not Oprah Winfrey in this, also known as Malone, and the entire Underground Mafia. So this is mostly just a filler issue, what we call a whiskey dick issue, just to kind of remind you of everything that's going on. But we do get a character that's kind of like Parasite in here. So first appearance in here, where the character will go, it doesn't matter at this point because nobody's reading DC. Let's see here. Superman and Batman and Superman. So they're on the moon battling Brainiac. This just happened abruptly. I've been following this all the way. We just ended the storyline, and they just randomly ended up here. But anyway, they're trapped on the moon, and they're battling like robotic nano type villains and superheroes over and over and over again so Brainiac can figure out an equation. The problem is Batman sends a signal back to the Batcave, and two superheroes are going to go save him.
Wolverine.
Two superheroes are going to go save him.
Yeah.
Want to guess who those two superheroes are?
Wolverine and She-Hulk.
No, unfortunately, it's worse. It's Steel and Batwoman. Of all characters to pick,
Deal.
those are the two that we're going to mainstream into the story. And guess what? If you hear from my tone, it's just as annoying in the story.
Would you have your hand raised there, Mike?
No, I probably did, but I forgot already.
Okay.
Justice League Dark. Look, you give me a chimp that smokes with cigarettes, does hundreds of shit, carries a sword, and wears a little detective hat. I'm all about it. I'll read it all day long. And here we get a lot of BS about belief, which is not the definition of belief, nor should it be taken seriously. So, what does the Upside Down Man do in this? If you've been following this, he drops John Constantine, kills him. Is it the death of John Constantine? Well, it's a superhero. They never really die. And he literally dies with a smirk on his face. So we know something's up there because it's John Constantine. Fantastic Four, antithesis. If you like the more old school type Fantastic Four storylines that have a lot going on in it all at one time with a bunch of complications that the entire family has to kind of keep track of, this is going to be your story. You're going to fall right into this. For people that like their stories buttoned up and kind of clean, you're not going to like this. Basically, the antithesis is a character from the negative zone that come over. He destroyed Galactus in this. Galactus has been a punching bag lately. So the Fantastic Four tried to figure it out. But what do they got to do? They got to go back and get Gilead. If you don't know who Gilead is, he is Galactus. And they got to go to the negative zone to get him. A big battle rages there. And then magically they're on Galactus's starship. Yes, Galactus, a guy bigger than a planet, has a starship. It's a little deep. It's a little weird. But I have a prediction that some cool things are going to come out of this. So I'll keep picking this up. Plus, that is my...
I missed that Silver Surfer.
Go. Oh, so beautiful. Mephisto. Mikey broke it down. This is great. Hey.
Maestro.
Mephisto.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been drinking. Maestro. So we thought the old guy that everybody called Gramps was the Maestro. Come to find out it's not. It's Hercules. Hercules is Maestro in here, and everybody works him like a god, which was kind of a play on the entire thing, which was really cool. I like the way they did this. But who is the Gramps that they keep in there? And his grandchild apparently could pick up Mjolnir. Why? What makes her worthy? Hopefully we'll find out more about that. I'm more curious about that than anything else. But I kind of like this whole apocalyptic future with pockets of humanity. It's interesting. Plus, Hercules is in it. Can't beat that. Spider-Man Noir. Gonna break this one down real quick. Whiskey Dick issue. We find out that the pilot was Wakandan. We went from spy story to Indiana Jones real quick in this, but we did get something really cool at the end. We get this really cool splash page of people coming back from death that are in this kind of 1940s. I like this kind of take on the 1940s of what superheroes would have looked like back then. Electro was really cool in here. And then we got Kamala Khan because, everybody likes that. Whatever. J.J. Abrams, Spider-Man. Finally, what issue is this? Number 4? Yeah. This finally broke out, and this is getting weird. But it's weird in a good way. I like where this is going. If you haven't been following the story, there's no point on a review in it. You're going to just get lost. I would go pick up issues 1 through 4 and I would read it. I'm not saying it's my pick of the week, but I will say you will at least, at minimal, if you like an alternative kind of futuristic storyline. The only thing that's annoying in this is a character called the Tagger. You know why she's called the Tagger?
Because you paint stuff.
She tags things. She's gangster. She's annoying as shit in the entire comic book. But for the most part, a dad, a son, loss of mother, young teenage love, a villain that just wants his wife back, kind of like that whole Ice or Dr. Freeze thing going on. That kind of goes on in here. Last but not least, my pick of the week, and it came from an unusual place. I picked up this Hotline Miami. Look, this is my pick of the week. Your thing is your thing. This thing is all about cocaine, automatic machine guns, Russians, and the paranoia of Russians. This thing is awesome. I'm not even going to tell you a review of it. If you can pick this up, you need to go pick this up. If you like 80s stuff, you kind of like the nostalgic kind of 80s feel of things, you need to go pick this up. If you like suspenseful comic books that have a little mystery behind it, you need to pick this up. If you like cocaine, you need to pick this up.
What do you got, Mike?
That's a video game book.
Yeah, it's based off video game. Okay, my books. Let's talk about these. I picked up these. These are both by Heavy Metal. They're written by Dan Fogler. He's in Walking Dead. He's kind of a he's been around for a while. Kind of a character actor. Fishkill and Brooklyn Gladiator. Both are really weird books. Mike or Joe said he'd be right back. If I had to pick one of the two to follow up on again, it'd be Fishkill. Fishkill's about a detective. And during the time of 9/11, Twin Towers go down. He ends up joining the military, but he has an issue with authority, and he ends up getting kicked out of the military. He becomes a police officer in New York. He is on the brink of mental collapse. He sees his dad, who's been dead for years. He gets in fight with his commanding officer at the station. He gets put on bridge duty, and then a big explosion happens on the bridge. Now they're thinking maybe he might be the one for the cause of the explosion, but it all might be in his mind too. So he may be the villain of his own story. So Fishkill is okay. Brooklyn Gladiator, I pass on. Spider-Man #4. I read that one as well. I need to go back and read #3 because I was kind of a little bit lost because it's been a long time since read any Spider-Man. I think that it's just about wrapping up right there. I picked up Justice League #53. I think this is a tie-in to Death Metal. Haven't read that one yet. Maestro #2. I really like the first one. Looking forward to reading this one.
Good.
Justice League Dark #26. Batman 99 because my DC books did not come in last week. I did pick them up this week, so I got to read Batman 99.
There's the new Robin.
Yeah, the Clown Killer.
Yep, that's the new Robin.
And then I picked up this is a reprint of Tales of Suspense #39, first print of Iron Man. Picked up that one just to have in my collection just because of just because of the history of the story and its connection to the Marvel Universe. So those are all of my books for the lightning round. We're going to wait for Joe to get back. I don't know what Joe's doing. He's out there.
So I picked up one Funko this week.
You did?
One.
Sorry, I was rereading the Hotline Miami book. Hold on.
Go ahead, Mike. Talk about your HIV infested dude.
That is wrong.
I know.
Yeah,
wrong.
it's accurate.
So, funny story. Before Grandpa was into heavy metal and Slayer and Metallica and all that shit, I listened to nothing but NWA when I was a kid. That's all that was in my Walkman.
911, nothing but a joke. Yep.
In that public was anyway. So this holds a special place in my heart. I thought the NWA movie, I forget what was it called, was awesome.
Straight out of Compton.
It was straight out of. So, yeah, this is
Good
awesome.
movie.
So I had to add this to my collection. Yeah, so I remember in the car with my grandfather and having that Walkman on, fucking fuck the police and all that shit.
The police.
And then I went to a flea market and discovered Iron Maiden, and then it was all downhill from there. So
I remember getting like my dad just bought it for me. I think I was 12 years old, 11 years old maybe. He bought me Ice-T, the Iceberg album. I listened to the hell out of that. Oh my God, talk about not appropriate for an 11-year-old to be listening to. He had no clue to what it was. But I remember listening to the hell out of that. Never really listened to that.
While y'all talk about this, I grew up in Norfolk, inner city. Grew up in that area because of unfortunate circumstances. I moved out into the country, regardless. But I listened to NWA, Public Enemy, DOC. Now, if you're in the chat right now and you remember DOC, like you would know that's what launched all that stuff because it all came out of Compton. Oh yeah. Oh, don't forget about Pop the Weasel. Oh, Pop the Weasel. Oh my God, I was into urban rap so tight, but I went to a predominantly African American school, so
me too.
It was like you either liked rap music or like don't. Grew up in the 80s, right? Don't come to our high school, or I'm sorry, don't come to our middle school. It was middle school then. Don't come to our school talking that John Bon Jovi shit. I was actually told on a bus.
Man, I was over here on the West Coast living on a prayer, baby.
And I was in the Middle West in Chicago going to 98% black high schools and junior highs. And so I was in the same boat, listening to rap. And
I'll tell you what, my first country song that I remember listening to, and this is going to sound funny, it was when I moved out to where I live now. When I retired, I moved back out into this area. The very first was "Don't Break My Heart" with the guy with the mullet, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Break My Heart.
Yeah, and like guys were pumping that in their pickup trucks, like the guys in Norfolk were, and I was like, that's a real song. Like I thought that was a joke.
See, we're here on the West Coast. I mean, I listened to a little bit of rap, but I was raised on stuff like Charlie Daniels, Bellamy Brothers, Creedence Clearwater Revival, all that fun stuff. But we've kind of diverged off of comics a little bit, so we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. And keep an eye out on our Facebook page for Joe's formula for the Speed Force, as well as a video of him eating his hat.
Let me throw a challenge out there. If I'm wrong in my formula, if I'm wrong in my description in the formula, and you because it gets a little weird, but algebraic, I think I'm right. If I'm wrong, which is math, if I'm wrong and you can prove it, we'll give you a Gold Age comic book for $400.
Interesting. So that might be worth your time if you want to go check out Joe's formula and prove him wrong. Get yourself a free Golden Age comic book. He said it here. So make sure you go check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all on there. We do enjoy doing this every week, talking about comics, shooting the shit, making innuendo jokes, and talking music. Who knows what else we might come up in the chit chat. So whether you blast it, whether stash, happy reading, and we'll catch you guys next week. Right? Yes?
Yes, sir.
You're supposed to say yes. Okay.